Welcome back to the Forensics Detailing channel. In this video we're going to be showing you how to apply ceramic top coats to your car, and we're going to be demoing this procedure using a product called Gtechniq Exo V3.
Guess that I am wrong or how we're close now. I've been making my amends. Come and see, where have you been off to now? Wait for me, dear beloved, lend me light as I wander off into the night, or I won't be found. Or I won't be found.
So, ceramic top coats. Now we did the application video on the ceramic kind of base coats, and these base coats are typically high in something that you can kind of refer to as solids, or what I kind of call the resin, you know, the business chemical in these products, the thing that bonds, the thing that sets hard. Now the more of that stuff that you have in there, I think the more prone these base coat ceramics are to water spotting issues. What do we mean by water spotting issues? Well, if water is allowed, you know, mainly tap water, that's the worst for it, it's worse than rainwater, but if water is allowed to dry on your car, those water droplets are full of minerals, and the water disappears and it leaves behind this white chalky mineral which can embed itself into the clear coat. And a lot of people try and remove them with polishing and stuff like that, but that's not the most effective way to remove them. Okay, so using dedicated water spot removers, which are acidic or ammonia based, they shrink and they kind of break down those minerals and they shrink them, and then you can kind of, then they're held in the fluid and then you kind of buff them off, and they are effective. The problem is these water spots seem to bed into these base coat ceramic coatings more. Okay, and they're very difficult to remove. It's not just a little spray and go, they sort of really stick in there. So it seems like what the coating manufacturers are doing is offering products to prevent them happening in the first place. It doesn't seem like anyone, well, you know, there's a lot of coating offerings out there, but anyone has offered a base coat ceramic which doesn't have this vulnerability. So let's talk about the application of these products. So Gtechniq advise you should apply this 1 to 12 hours after the application of the base coat. Obviously the professional is going to want to do it much closer to an hour. The guys at home have probably got the luxury of just saying, I'm going to wait for a definite cure. So if you wait 12 hours, you know that base coat is not going to be tacky, you know, it's not going to be smeary, it's not going to be merging as much with the coating you put on top. So I waited 12 hours with this, and I'd recommend you do that if you can. You know, not everyone's going to be able to, but it just eliminates the risk of a potential problem. So the conditions as well, like I said in the other video, affect the rate of the cure. So you want to make sure that base coat is hardened to a good level, that it's not tacky when you go and apply this over the top. Just like the ceramic, you get your applicator, and I wanted to use the Gtechniq applicator this time just to give it a little run out, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on. You put your product over that applicator. You could do a cross, you could do a circle, just get decent coverage and don't panic. You know, the first time you ever drop these out, you're going to be looking at them microscopically and counting them, and after a while you're going to be hurling the stuff on the applicator, you know, because you've got to try and get around this car. You could end up spending a hell of a lot of time doing this. Work in your 2x2 sections when you're laying this down for the first time. Again, you can increase that size, and that's a danger you probably don't, or pitfall you don't want to fall into the first time you're doing it. So work in a sensible section. I'd say 6. If you divide your bonnet down into 6 sections, that's reasonably sensible. Some might well do it smaller, some might do half a bonnet at a time, but 6 sections seems about right, sort of like that. Lay it out, do the crosshatch thing to make sure you've covered over every little section of that target area, okay? That's the point of the crosshatch. It gives you the coverage. If you're just going random or round in circles and stuff like that, the tendency is you will miss something, and the faster you try and apply it and cover that surface, the more risk of not getting the coverage. After you've applied it, get a clean terry cloth again and just buff over the surface of it, and then do your inspection lightly, you know, no pressure. You're not trying to really buff this hard and ramming around. I will just talk a little bit more about the buffing in a second, but after you've buffed that excess off and you've got a nice finish and there's no smearing or anything like that, you want a shiny sort of clean finish, but without going mad and buffing hard. Get your inspection torch, look at the panel, make sure it's all leveled. And when you're happy, if not, little buff again, do your inspection. When you're happy, you move on to the next section. You work your way around the car, hitting all the panels that you want to hit. After you've applied the coating, leave it for 12 hours to 24 hours. Just leave it alone, don't touch it. Just let that product set. After those 24 hours, you can use the car, but do not wash the car with kind of chemicals and stuff like that, because the coating hasn't fully cured. So you can use it after 24 hours. If you can leave the car just sitting there for a few days, it's going to be good, because you know the coating's going to kind of continue to cure after that 12 to 24 hour period. But a lot of people, that's not going to be possible. They've got the balancing act of making these things usable. You know, if you had to leave the whole thing a week without using the car for a full cure, that would create so many problems. So that is the application. Okay, very, very simple. Now I want to just talk about some things about this particular product that I've kind of noticed that are different to the base coat. Okay, so this product we're talking about in this video, Gtechniq Exo V3 top coat. So the base coat that I used was also the Gtechniq C1 crystal lacquer, not crystal serum, sorry, crystal lacquer product, which I thought was really easy to use. You know, there was no tackiness to it. It was nice to buff away. Just an easy ceramic coating for me, and I've only used about 4 or 5 now, and they've all been pretty decent and easy to use. But no problems with C1 crystal lacquer in terms of application. Nothing really to highlight as a potential issue that you wouldn't have with other ceramics. You need to be careful about the inspection. You really need to be careful, because you can speed up when you're doing this, and the risk of leaving an unleveled spot with any ceramic, I think, is probably the biggest danger. And you're gonna have to go back if it sets and you've left a footprint there. You're gonna have to go and compound it off and then reapply over that section. Now this Exo V3, 44 quid for 30 millilitres. They advise 2 coats of it. You know, you can layer up the base coats if you like, 2 coats of the crystal serum. You're putting more of the product down, but they advise 2 coats of the top coat. So 44 quid for 30 millilitres, 66 quid for 50 millilitres. I think you'll easily have enough in that bottle to do 2 coats. In fact, you could almost do 2 cars with that. You would probably be stretching it out a little bit to do 2 cars, 2 coats. So that's 4 coats almost. Now, what do they say about the product? So they say it's a durable hydrophobic coating. They don't use the word ceramic in the product description, but it is a ceramic coating. Can be used as a standalone product, giving 18 to 24 months durability. Okay, which is an improvement on the V2, which had less durability, and I think it was a bit more, I can't remember if it was a bit more smeary to apply or something, but they said they improved something with the V3. Provides a warm gloss, a slick finish, unsurpassed water repellency, easy application, surface stain resistance, so it helps with the water spotting, and non-smearing. So better with the water spotting as well than V2, I think, is one thing they claim. Looking at what's in the product, Gtechniq, one of the good guys, tell you what's in their product, and you can just access it, see what's in it, so you know what you're handling as well, which is important. It looks like it's a ceramic coating and a ceramic coating carrier, and then a mixture of siloxanes and silicons, they describe, with a naphtha in there as well. You can smell that naphtha a little bit in there. So it's got a slightly different solvent system in it to perhaps some of the other ceramics. I don't know if all of them have a little bit of naphtha in there, but it's using siloxanes and silicons. So siloxanes with an X, siloxane, and silicons as the water repellency thing. And I think that's different to the other, some of its other rivals like Gliss and what's the other one? Geon Skin, the new one, which are fluorine based. Now, fluorine, as far as I know, has the highest contact angle that you can get. It's the most water repellent thing, you know, that you sort of type of liquid product that you could use as a coating. So I think unless this is something really cool, that the siloxanes and silicons have a slightly less repellent nature to fluorine, but that's only from a basic understanding for me. But they are safer products as well. Fluorine's quite lethal, but you are applying these in a careful, controlled manner with gloves on and stuff like that. So, but that's all I know from the chemical makeup, is it's not using fluorine. So it's a blend of ceramics with siloxanes and silicons in there, and a bit of naphtha that probably helps with those to keep those things dissolved. Now this stuff, to me, when you lay it out and you roll it over the panel, feels more slimy, feels like it wants to resist a little bit more, feels like it's got more silicone in it actually, and it probably does. So it's lower solids and more of this kind of repellent kind of siloxane or whatever they've got in there. So it's a little bit more sticky to work. Not that that's going to cause you any problem. You're talking just tiny little things here. I also felt though that it was more prone to smearing when you're buffing it back than the base coat ceramic, for me. So what I actually found was the best method was I had the one terry cloth that I'd use to go and take the excess off first. And I would use that cloth a few times, you know, and then fold it when there was too much on there, you know, flip it or whatever. But if I had another cloth that I was just using for this kind of final light buff, if there was any little bits of the sort of smears or kind of ghosting, I would just use a separate cloth there that was hardly going to be picking up any product, and just do that final buff with that, and that just worked best for me. So the double cloth method I made a note of here. That was it really. I think you just need to be a little bit more careful with the buffing of the Exo. They advise 2 coats because obviously you're getting less kind of solids in there, so perhaps doing 2 coats helps build up a bigger layer of this kind of more hydrophobic but less resin based coating. I also think, because it's a little bit more sticky and a little bit more slimy to shift around, I also felt that I wasn't too keen on this applicator. It's just a minor thing. I just felt that the applicator would shift around in your fingers too much, and then when you change direction to do the crosshatch, it can slip out, so you kind of got to keep working it. And in the end, I felt it was almost better to just give this a little pinch and a grip and do it. I also think this absorbs more of the coating into this thing. It's got like a sponge on the inside. I think it takes more of the coating into it, but it does have some advantages. You know, that the block panel, when you start getting tighter areas and like the pillars, the block panel is not quite as good. So it's pros and cons really. But I felt on the bigger panels, the block applicators are slightly better. But you can always go and buy those and use the little suede cloths that you put over them, microfiber suede, if that's your preference. It's always nice to try different applicators. But yeah, a little bit too marshmallowy, that thing for me. So what do I think about these kind of ceramic top coatings? From an application point of view, it's just more of the same, with a little bit more stickiness with this particular product, but nothing that would put you off really. My biggest problem with them is that when you kind of read the product description of the base coat ceramics, they sound space age, you know, there's some scratch resistance, durable bonding coat that can do 2 to 3 years, highly hydrophobic, all this, and you think, yeah, that sounds good, and it does sound good. They are sort of quite sophisticated, they are impressive, they are expensive, but then the fact that they have, you know, if they're really this brilliant, you almost think, well, they can't be that brilliant if I've got to go and buy another product which costs exactly the same price as the one underneath, because the one underneath has a potential issue with water spotting. You know, that to me, some people will just think that's the way it is. You know, that's the way it is, and these companies are providing a solution for that, and this is the most effective solution. which is one argument. The other argument is that really that water spotting issue is a bit of a major showstopper, isn't it, really? It's a bit like if I had a forensics detailing wax, you know, I've got this super wax I'm giving out there, it's amazing. But you need to use this other wax as well after you've applied this one, because this one's got a problem. Most people just go and use something that doesn't have a problem and they can stick on the car. So there's two sides to that argument. The reality is that the underlying problem is probably caused by the products that have the high amounts of the resin, the real thing that's doing the work, you know, the solids. And if you want to create a one coating that does it all and doesn't have this water spotting issue, you probably need to get a fair amount of other kind of chemicals in there, whether it's a fluorine or whether it's a silazane that they're using here. And when you do that, you probably reduce the amount of solids and then lose some of the essential things that the ceramic coating is giving you. So it's a balancing act. And maybe the reality is just this two-stage approach and two-product approach is the best way. But from a consumer point of view and from an application point of view, it starts to get to an area where I think some people who haven't applied a ceramic that go looking at all of this and then they go and do it for the first time on their cars, I reckon there's a fair percentage that would just think, you know, sod this for a laugh. And then maybe there's a fair few though that will love them and continue to use them. And I'm not sure at the moment, you know, where I sit on the fence with all this, because the cost is quite significant. And then this layering thing, you know, it makes the work, it makes even more work. So these are the things that you've got to consider, okay? Rather than just fall into the trap of seeing all these ceramic coatings, seeing them all being used and just saying, I want a piece of that action. You know, and that's all about doing your research. And that's what this video as well, it's part of the responsibility of this video to talk about some of this stuff. So this is the Exo application video though, guys. So we're going to keep it short and simple. It's very easy to apply, very similar to the main application process, and it will create this kind of hydrophobic coating which is still durable but it's less solids and will help with the water spotting issue. Okay guys, so that was really just a quicker informal one on these top coat ceramic coatings. We'll be doing more videos, we'll be running through all the negatives of ceramic coatings so that you don't fall into the trap of just seeing all these people applying them, and they are sexy, cool products that are desirable. You know, and if you're into your detailing, I can recommend them for sure, but there's some negatives, or there's things to talk about, considerations, and I really want to do a video on that to delve into that can of worms. I like opening can of worms. I couldn't give a monkey's about all the politics. I just wade in there and then let everyone else worry about them. But it's to be done to give you information, not to tear them apart. Because at the moment I'm quite excited about all the ceramic coatings stuff, and I'm exploring them as well at the same time that I'm shooting all the video stuff. And they are pretty sophisticated, pretty clever chemically. But there are limitations, and we're going to be going into that on the channel. So stay tuned, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon on Forensics Detailing. Bye for now.
Holding on to what I knew, but the moment's gone. Where was I?